Training Grounds is map number 1. We are already live, and from the looks of it, Taylor, Fire and Ice have started off with a lead with a 2-cap. Of course, this is their map pick. You're going to see Fire and Ice on that Swarm team. See if they can maybe pull a little trick out and take the first map from Rec.
Well, definitely going to have to, right? District, Reciprocity is such a strong team on that map. You know it's going to be one of their picks throughout as FNI just walks through Reciprocity. 4 players will drop. Franchise, last alive, just trying to maintain his life. He's forced to fight it out up close, and luckily he's able to win that 1v1 against Crystallize. As it is long spawns, and even though the rest of the team has an opportunity to spawn up, they're going to choose not to. And Reciprocity going to fall a little bit short in round 1. As it is going to be FNI leading the way, and a good start, right? To talk a little bit more about this district. Reciprocity's map pick, obviously they're strong in that map, and then Exhibit Reciprocity strong there too. So Training Grounds is one FNI needs to come out ahead on.
No, definitely. And we've also seen, for what it's worth, Reciprocity play well on Training Grounds also. Again, one of the big things that I've kind of been so impressed by when it comes to this Reciprocity team is they have the widest map pool. I don't care if people are getting tired of me saying the word map pool. They have the widest map pool in Gears of War 5. And right now, that is just so important. So, again, it's kind of difficult to find sort of, any kind of maps to kind of take them down on, try to find any kind of map where you can identify their weakness. Because, honestly, they don't have many weaknesses at this point in time. But Fire and Ice are getting the party started right. Get the first round on the board of this matchup. Of course, when you're playing the top dog, you really need to win your map. You need to kick off the series the right way.
And something to mention, too, you pointed this out when you came into the office. FNI currently doing a boot camp. Is that correct?
They are. They are all playing together. They're playing, obviously this match is online, but they're all playing together at a LAN with the Pittsburgh Knights. Okay. So they're getting a lot of good practice as we head into the event. One kind of notable, boot camp from the past was Estral. Estral did a boot camp before San Diego, and you saw how much it helped them. They got 2nd place at that event. So boot camps can be very beneficial. We were kind of one of the first teams to really do it, actually, in Gears of War 4 by NUE with our old Team Envious team. So I know personally from experience just how beneficial those boot camps can be if you take them seriously. Of course, if teams are screwing around, if teams aren't really, taking every minute, and making it productive, of course, things can get a little less productive. But to me, boot camps are everything.
I guess it could be pretty interesting if you look at a matchup like this, because with FNI and PK doing the same, or at least in the same room, if you will, right, doing the boot camp, especially maybe if they move forward and potentially have the chance to play against each other, things can get wild over at the boot camp. Playing each other in Emergence Day is one of the best tournaments, I guess you could say, currently going on. It definitely could be a fun one to watch, especially if you're in that room. But as we now get back on board with the matchup, Icy not letting BGOD get through. There's no way he was going to break it. Even if he did, was he really going to stand a chance? FNI is going to lose that one. Reciprocity ties it up. In another short round, only 1 minute and 19 seconds, but they win it the same way FNI took the first round.
And you see Franchise at the top of the leaderboard. Again, Franchise to me a player who just still to this day, no matter how much he's won, gotten top 2, never seems to quite get enough credit in my eyes, and he's just been so strong and so consistent throughout all of Gears of War 5 so far. Again, if he has another big event, it just makes his team so much harder, and people also sort of undervalue when it comes to players like Franchise and Explosive, how important it is to be able to slay out while you're also doing the in-game leader role. The in-game leader role is very difficult to navigate the troops, right, and to make all these calls and to keep kind of surveying the field. To do all that while still kind of slaying out at a high level just makes 2 of those players just that much more impressive in my eyes.
Franchise getting the respect he deserves, right? Being on Reciprocity, winning San Diego, and of course now being the most dominant team here in Emergence Days, and looking to make a back-to-back appearance in Grand Finals, potentially a back-to-back championship, as Reciprocity did in fact win last week versus Endgame. And I believe it was a hot 2-0, if I'm not mistaken.
That was one of the, honestly, when it comes to that Endgame team, even in matches they've lost, that was one of the most sort of dominant wins over them that I've ever seen in quite some time. So I know Endgame definitely looking to bounce back this week. Of course, another team that, when it comes to that event, man, I don't care how bad they look online, when it comes to that event, that is not a team that you want on the other side of the station. They're still, in my eyes, I don't care if they lost the last event, they're still kind of the final boss in my eyes when it comes to winning that event. To me, you have to really get through them if you truly want to be the best. So yeah, I know they're definitely going to bounce back. They don't like losing, so I know 2 in a row is definitely would sting.
FNI still slaying out. Looks as if this round is in their control. They have the point lead. They also had 3 players down for Reciprocity that gave them an opportunity to get some map control. You see them kind of swarming around Bravo, because I know Reciprocity is looking to make that push over. Icy does in fact take BGOD out. That forces Exploits back, so giving some spacing between the 2 teams. There's a lot of pressure here onto Bravo is taking place. Raver, though, wins a nice fight up close. He eventually gets dropped by Powers, but regardless, though, Reciprocity finds an opening, and they go for the break, and they are able to lock in Bravo. Not a moment too soon. They were down about 60, 70 points, so this is their time. They need to make that comeback possible. As Reciprocity, they pretty spread apart. And that's got F&I kind of on high alert, maybe thinking, okay, they might be, at least in a short time frame, could collapse down on the Charlie. And I think F&I knows that, and that's why they're stacking so close to their own home hill.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing Fire Nice kind of getting that decision-making process. Do you go across the map for the OE? Do you go for the neutral? So far, Taylor, the push is coming over towards the home hill side of the map. Reciprocity was set up so well over at Bravo. Now you're going to see Powers kind of retreating back over to Kenny. Does miss that reaction shot, but his teammate is there for him. Unfortunately, Exploits comes right around the corner. Gets the kill onto Kenny, and here comes the push from Fire and Ice. They are head downing right towards A, but a sneaky player. Who is it? It is Icy, already on the Fire and Ice home hill, so at the very least, Reciprocity can use that as an opportunity to close that gap, and now they have taken a time lead of their own. We've kind of begun now the late round kind of game of caps and breaks.
He won the fight.
Picked up left and right. Not only does Icy make that play, he also wins the fight over on Fire and Ice's home hill. That's going to make them have to put even more resources over to C as he caps it in the face of his opponent. So despite Icy finally going down there, the amount of objective impact he had on that round, and especially that late round, was just huge.
Oh, and if Kenny wins that, or excuse me, if Icy wins that, right, that would have been a huge win to say the least. Exploits winning clutch. At least maintained a round for themselves, but how long is it going to last? You see Reciprocity still slaying out as Raver drops. B-God gets a nice house hit onto him. It's not going to be enough, and we are going to see Reciprocity win this round here, 250, and cap it out to be leading 2-1. A long, drawn-out round, 3 minutes now, one of the longest rounds we've seen out of the three so far, but a good win nonetheless. Some good plays, though. Icy, a man that loves his rotations, knows how to make some plays. He's been slaying out so far. He's been making those fights over on Overlook look easy, and that overextension, holding his own in those 1v1s, made all the difference. And F&I's got to be aware of that, as we'll just continue to stack up on the weapons, of course. Some bolt hogs being added, potentially a drop shot already. And honestly, for me, it seems a bit premature, but what do you think?
I'm starting to get a little bit of Gears of War 4 vibes, I'll be honest. More and more often we're seeing teams lose a couple rounds, and it could be because escalation's shorter now. Seeing a couple rounds lost, and that drop shot gets slapped instantly. A lot of times in Gears of War 4, you see that with the boom shot or the drop shot towards the end of the game.
Sure.
So teams trying to utilize that center line a little more when it comes to the power weapons. Kind of go ahead and see how this initial plays out. You're going to see Powers fighting that 1v1 over at B. Franchise in the meantime over at the Overlook does win the fight against B-God, so now he's going to have a great angle to shoot down at those players. Again, the drop shot's still not picked up, and Reciprocity just kind of has to play the spacing game because they have all the angles in the world, thanks to Franchise just being an absolute force up on that Overlook.
Yeah, that's huge, right? You want to win that Overlook positioning. Unfortunately, he does fall in the meantime, but I think his team is going to manage to collapse down on this final player. It's going to be Raver in a tough position, trying to hold his own. Hits a couple of nice shots. It's not going to be enough. Players will recover their health, and of course, Raver will get dropped. And F&I, you know, they got a short victory. They end up getting their own home hill along with Bravo, so they will have the point lead, but they don't have the power weapon. And that should be the opportunity, or at least a catalyst, for Reciprocity to turn this round in their favor. As Rushies, he won't have it in his hand. He's going to put it to use. B-God will, in fact, get dropped. Franchise looking to go for an overextension. Let's see if it pays off.
And despite kind of that good win from Reciprocity in the beginning, it was Fire and Ice who did take control of the objective lead, at least early on. You're going to see now Reciprocity moving over, and Franchise absolutely making Choche pay. Choche whipped that shot, and Fran comes out with the two-piece, so now the B-Hill going to favor Reciprocity. And we start to kind of look at the respawn economy. Taylor, you're going to see Crystallize, B-God both sitting on one. Meanwhile, on the left side of your screen, everyone just very, very healthy on the Rex side, and that Boltok in Power's hands is a scary sight. He's commanding 3 players' attention on his own. Do you see the force that this guy is on the map?
100%, man. You know, you need players like that to be able to turn up and hit the shots when they matter the most. And you're right, you pointed out that respawn economy. This is third round, so you got to commit everything in order to take this round itself. So we know F&I is going to continue to spawn up, but with a couple of kills, they're able to chain together maybe a couple of players down low. Franchise, he's going to be spawning back up on 1 out of 4. If they take him out, that's going to be a huge hit to the team. Meanwhile, though, Rushy's looking to go for that overextension. Ice providing some shots. It's not going to be enough, though. He's going to get dropped himself. F&I starting to slay out, starting to look good. We know that fight up top is about to take place once again for the drop.
Yeah, Powers got the first down with the Boltok, looking to follow it up with the help of his teammate. Fire and Ice doing a good job of getting those revives off, and now it looks like they're even toying with the C-Hill as well, so Reciprocity to make something happen quick. Powers misses the shot. Exploits is not going to miss his, and Members down on each team. Franchise needs to make something happen, but they need to get to the A hill quick. Can anyone get there in time? Rushies is going to do, but I believe someone from Fire and Ice is on the way to the home hill as well. Rushman gets onto A. Unfortunately, it is just a couple seconds too late. So Fire and Ice keeping this one close, winning that first round since throwing that drop shot down.
And you know what's special about that is the drop shot really went into the favor of Reciprocity. They won the initial. They did a great job, specifically with Franchise on Overlook, doing a good job holding his own up there, opening up that line of sight with the Lancer Fire, was able to solidify at least some damage, and then his team was able to finish off the rest of F&I. But even though F&I lost the initial, they lost a drop shot, they still maintained their home hill, and they maintained the Bravo hill as well, and they gained a nice little point lead, and Reciprocity was able to, retake control once again, but F&I was quick to make those rotations, those OEs, and it made all the difference in the world. So overall, F&I, even though they got outslayed, I mean, we saw that in Respawn Economy overall too, F&I still did a great job playing the objective game. Now, this fight up here is going to be even more deadly. Right now, you got to be thinking you're fighting for that drop shot as a quick pick comes through. Exploit's not wasted any time, my goodness.
Yeah, and Rushies was kind of there waiting. He got one of those initial shots in, but just wasn't able to follow it up. So Exploit's just getting right in and right out with that power weapon. Of course, the hills now being flipped over. It's going to change how this initial works so much, because not only now, Taylor, is there the weapon, there's also the E hill. So not a situation anymore. You saw Fire and Ice kind of last time grab the B hill in the midst of Reciprocity, getting the drop shot. Now you win that fight. It means that much more, and Icy making his way through. Exploits is going to put a stop to Rushies in the meantime, so numbers advantage still favoring Fire and Ice. They have the two home hills, but F&I doing a good job on these long spawn rounds of weathering the storm, and now Powers and Fran, the last two alive, and Fire and Ice back at full strength.
And you notice they already applying that pressure onto F. Powers did a good job going for that OE to try and keep the points in their favor. Reciprocity has a nice lead at this point, but if Franchise can hold his own here, that could be huge, and unfortunately he's not going to be able to. Rushies, all he can do is just look on, as he might be able to get that that quick pick on the F just a little bit later if he holds off. But regardless, though, Reciprocity has a nice lead, but it looks as if that could fall to the wayside. F&I in control and looking solid, but you do notice Rushies made that that play, ended up slaying out at least Choche. He's able to regain control of double home hill setup for his team.
Yeah, on the second wave of spawns, Reciprocity still favoring both the D and F hill. Fire and Ice making their way over there. Crystallize. It's going to get killed by Rush. Raver is there for the trade. Fire and Ice choosing that F hill for their push. In the meantime, Kenny makes his way over towards E. Obviously, that new drop shot going to be up momentarily. Wolfies want to make sure they can grab that hill. Reciprocity's built a pretty decent objective lead so far. Now B-God finds himself kind of pinned back behind E as Kenny gets on there for the break. Going to continue to kind of keep Fire and Ice out of position to come back. Reciprocity did a great job making that rotation, Taylor. They had the double home hill. They saw Fire and Ice making the push. They said, all right, we're going to make our way right over to the neutral hill, and now they have that two-cap once again, or at least in the process of getting the two-cap, and potentially a weapon.
Raver.
But as we say that, Raver comes through like a bat out of hell. It's a couple kills, and who else to follow it up but the main slayer of Reciprocity, Powers. Main slayer F&I had to make a play, and of course, Powers had to be there to follow it up.
Ooh, an Icy 2. Continues to compliment his teammates, right? The main slayers, and goes right up with Powers. Shoulder to shoulder and able to take over that drop shot. So E in control, and the fight for D will take place. Kenny needs to be careful. It's going to be a player just down below. Did he see the shoulder of the play? I don't think he
had to have. He had to have.
There's no way.
It's a third-person game. If we saw it, he saw it.
So Exploits down low. He's still taking his time.
Did you not see him?
I don't think he did. I really don't.
He had to have.
There's no way.
The all-seeing egg. He had to have seen it.
Well, he's seen him. He definitely seen him now. Exploits being forced back as a swarm of Reciprocity, a swarm of blue will go on the attack. Exploits, not a lot he can do, as we do see Kofi lighting up blue. Exploits, B-God will in fact drop off, and Reciprocity should walk away with this. But F&I's got one last ditch attempt to go for this break on the home hill. But first, this battle between, yeah, that's exactly what I was about to highlight. That battle between Rushies and Crystallize had to be won. And unfortunately, it wasn't. Reciprocity holds on, and they take a 3-2 lead.
And a lot of resources used by Fire and Ice there, Taylor. You saw Crystallize already sitting on one respawn. Of course, he will bank one more, so come into that with two. But you're going to see, actually on both ends, respawn economy not looking great now that I look across the board. Reciprocity used quite a bit as well, so a very, of course, long-winded round. We'll see what kind of effect that has.
I'm curious myself, as we continue on, if F&I takes this next round, I'm kind of curious how much they're going to have to keep committing, because the only thing, as these rounds do drag on, if you're down in respawn economy, it's going to start to hurt you more and more, especially if these rounds continue to go for 2 to 3 minutes, or maybe even, 3+ minutes, right? So you have to keep that in mind. And one of you guys, right, if you're crystallized at 2 out of 4, you got to be careful. But same thing, though. Reciprocity, franchise sitting at 2 out of 4, right? The guy who loves to get into the mix, he's got to be careful, because this initial, he could lose his life. He's going to be fighting for Overlook, but as we get on board, Crystallized will in fact knock Kenny down. Doesn't get the finish as of yet. Franchise is going to drop 2, so that's going to put him at 1 of 4. Icy will drop as F&I continues to slay out. Icy gets picked back up. He'll manage to take out B-God, but Raver quickly drops Icy down, gets the finish onto not only Icy, but also onto Kenny, as F&I is walking through Reciprocity. They're already applying the pressure on the home hill of Reciprocity, but luckily one player will spawn up. They'll be able to get D. We could be seeing a domination here soon.
And Choche is kind of pinned behind a bunch of Reciprocity members. Franchise is going to take his time and get that kill. So a couple members now down for Fire and Ice. He had a great start to this round, but so far now the COG team are coming back, and these are still pretty long spawns, Taylor. So that 3 dead could mean quite a bit. Crystallized making good use of that drop shot, at least weathering the storm for now. So Fire and Ice still do retain that 2 cap. At least slow down Reciprocity, as Kenny is going to be dropped in the Overlook. Who else though? The Powers getting not 1 but 2. Saving the day for Reciprocity. He's going to finally be pushed, and just with that Bulltalk in his hands,
nice
just look at how dangerous he is.
Beautiful shots. Choche doesn't stand a chance. He gets dropped himself. And this is looking like the initial that we saw with F&I wiping Reciprocity out. Now Reciprocity's wiping F&I out. Crystallize and B-God. Last players to stand on their own 2 feet. The only light at the end of the tunnel, though, is Rushies is on his last life. So if he goes down, F&I is going to have a permanent 5v4 situation, so that's something to look forward to if they can single him out. But Rushies looks like he's holding his own. B-God will get dropped in the meantime. Gets picked back up. And Raver now has the opportunity to make this a 5v4, but Icy will go ahead and switch out places with Rushies, and it's going to be business as usual. F&I trying to maintain that point lead. Looks as if for now they will do just that.
Yeah, the Reciprocity holding the E-Hill down, of course. They're going to have potential control of that drop shot, but one thing they don't have control of right now, Taylor, is the respawn economy. Rushies is on 0. Kenny's on 1. Fran's on 1. Fire and Ice isn't super healthy themselves, but situations, if you're Rushies and he dies there, you kind of have that permanent 4v5 situation. At the top level like this, it's just so hard to win that way. So you got to make sure they keep an eye on Rushies' franchise. That's going to potentially now put him at 0 out of 4. If I'm him, though, I don't think he's going to spawn back in, right? Fire and Ice has the 2 cap. They're at the 200-point mark. You got to imagine they kind of just give this round up. They're still in the lead.
Well, the only benefit is Rushies does have that drop shot.
And Fran spawned back in. They're still going for it.
Maybe thinking with the drop shot, they can maybe that's going to be the catalyst. His powers will drop. I know Rushies has one more shot in that drop shot. He put it to good use, but F&I just continues to slay out. Raver in a bad position. He's going to get dropped. Rushies gets the finish. He's been on his last life for the longest time. And all hills will, in fact, get broken. Reciprocity going for the cap onto D. And a lot of resources have to be committed now onto the side of F&I's. Exploits, great job dropping that drop shot from Rushies. Another hill will get broken. D looks like he could be captured here. Franchise forced back. He's got to pull off a huge 1v2, unable to do so. And F&I will, in fact, take this win. As you see, Reciprocity, they're not going to be spawning back up. But you're right. Franchise committed. He lost his life. Rushies lost his life. Best case scenario, they're now going to be spawning up in the 7th round with 1 out of 4 lives, Ryan.
Yeah, I do not agree whatsoever with Franchise getting back in there. Again, 200-point mark, 2 hills. Just the likelihood of you getting out of that fight with a win is just not very strong. So now you enter a situation where at the 3-3 mark, there's no other half to reset the respawn economy, right? You basically have to play the remainder of this map out with a very, very low amount of lives. So to me, I guess the only silver lining is that they can win kind of on a definitive wipe. That's usually a lot of times where a team can get a quick wipe, and then that helps a little bit bolster the respawn economy. But now you look across the board, and Rush is on 1, Fran's on 1, and over the other end of Fire and Ice, not a single person on 1.
Yeah, Reciprocity, they've got to keep that in mind. This initial going to be very important. Rush is at 1 of 4. He's going to be leading the charge as he normally does. He'll be met up with Exploits. Exploits hits a beautiful stun, but Rushies rolling away, and unfortunately a trade does happen. B-God gets the trade onto Rushy, so he'll be spawning up on his last life, depending on how this initial goes. Icy is going to get dropped himself. Kenny, though, and Powers, luckily able to take out Crystallize. Killfeed is lighting up blue. Just watch out, 3 players on F&I will go down.
That's a good start. The unfortunate part for Reciprocity is that Rushies was one of the players to die in that initial. They did a good job of getting control of the weapon. Of course, getting control of the E-Hill, but now if you're Rushies, you need to be kind of on the back line for a long, long time. And of course, a player like Rushies kind of thrives in a situation where he's kind of the tip of the spear when he's kind of the guy in the fight. He can wall bounce around and get a lot of chunks. And so keeping on the back line is going to be a little tough for Rex. He's going to have to step up. B-God gets hit with a brick. Franchise is there to follow it up, but here are the trades. And just like that, Taylor, if there's anyone to kill on Rec right now, it would have been him. They're going to now find themselves with 2 different players sitting on 0. They can get one more round of kind of wipes. That's going to be key as Crystallize is going to be on 0 and B-God.
And Raver.
So far, so good for Rec outside of just the kind of the early deaths from Fran and Rush.
Talk about turning things around now.
This is the time.
F&I's in a lot of trouble, and Icy onto
goodness.
Choche and B-God. He'll get dropped by Raver, but, I mean, anytime you're getting 2 for 1, those are the numbers you definitely want in your favor. Like you said, Rushy's playing kind of in the background.
And you can see what Franchise is doing now. Franchise choosing to spawn back in, trying to potentially save those because look at B-God's permanently out. Reciprocity, they did a great job, despite Rush dying early, they did a great job of kind of farming out those kills through 2-3 waves to actually somehow, in very quick succession, take control of the respawn economy, and Kenny baits out the revive.
That's 3 down.
It's a big double up, and Taylor, coming into this round, we were just praising how strong Fire and Ice's respawn economy is. Reciprocity just did almost like a pub stomp wave of spawn killing, and just like that, Fire and Ice, their respawn economy is even more crippled than Rex was.
It was the initial. The initials where F&I fell apart. Reciprocity turned up, they slayed out, and then it was that second wave that put F&I at against the odds. 3 players immediately down to 0 out of 4 lives. And that drop shot kind of solidified things. Not a lot you could do in a 2v5 situation. But I got to say, though, Franchise holding back, that was a really astute observation because that's smart, right? Franchise holding back saying, hey, we could take this in a 4v4. I'm going to maintain my life because if this goes the distance, I want as many lives as possible.
Yeah, so now they enter this round with only 1 player sitting on 1. Meanwhile, look at Fire and Ice. 3 different players sitting on 1. A couple guys on 2. Meanwhile, Kenny's on 3, Ice is on 3, Powers is on 4. What a way to kind of bounce back. Rush is going to get early. He's going to be taken out. Fire and Ice trying to get that early advantage. You have to do a little bit of the same thing, right? They're going to have to kind of farm out some kills. It looks like the kill feed is going in the other direction. A lot of trades coming through from each side. Take a look. B-God did go down. Crystallize goes down. So while Rushy's on 0-4, very quickly will Crystallize be on 0-4 and B-God 0-4. So early advantage, despite kind of being a back-and-forth initial, absolutely favoring Reciprocity.
100%. And I think this is going to be the final nail in the coffin. The respawn economy is just really getting away from F&I. You know, if Reciprocity was sitting at a couple players at 1 out of 4, maybe 2 out of 4, I would say, okay, F&I, they get a couple of good wipes. All right, they'll be looking solid. But at this point in time, when you're sitting at Kenny, 3 out of 4, Powers at 4 out of 4, it's just not a lot you can do. They can continue to throw bodies at you, especially with respawns starting to get shorter and shorter, as especially if we were to go into that tiebreaker round. Regardless, though, big standstill between Powers and Raver is Powers just continues to hit these little Voltox shots to put Raver back. He doesn't want to go for the challenge as of yet. Fight between Choche and Icy will take place. Kenny with the drop shot will take Choche out, so Icy doesn't have to do as much work. With Exploits being dropped, not finished as of yet. That's a big drop down. Exploits finally finished off. He's going to be spawning up at 0 out of 4 himself. B-God's already out of the mix. Raver's going to be at 0 out of 4. Crystallize, he gets dropped to all 4s and finished, or not finished as of yet, but if he does, now it's going to be a 5v3. There's the finish. Ryan, this is GG.
This is as close to GG as you're ever going to see as we cross near the 170-point mark. Reciprocity with 2 hills with a permanent 1 versus 5, and they completely wipe every single respawn. Fire and Ice was allowed in the second half. Got close for a bit, but in the end, the champs, they made it through, winning map 1 5-3.
Ooh, but it was looking close, especially off those first couple of rounds. You know, F&I was looking solid. But let's transition. Let's keep that action going for you. We have in-game versus in control. First map